In this, the second video of our discussion of Chapter 11, Organizational Forms of Insurance Companies, we actually are going to talk about those organizational forms, or types of insurers. Let's go through all four of the types. First, there's stock insurers, then mutual insurers, then reciprocals, and last we'll talk about Lloyd's of London, but that will be in the next video. So let's focus here on stock versus mutual first, because they make up the majority of insurance companies in the U.S. Stock companies are for-profit companies, and profits that are not retained as retained earnings are paid as dividends to shareholders, so they are owned by shareholders. Policyholders will not be assessed if losses are too high. This is in contrast to some mutual companies who will assess policyholders retroactively if losses are much higher than expected. This doesn't mean that with a stock company, they won't increase your premium. So what will happen is if losses are higher than the insurance company expects, your premiums will likely go up the next year. But with a mutual company, they are not for profit. Excess income not retained will be returned to the policyholder/owners as dividends or just used against the next year's premium. So they are owned by policyholders in contrast to stock companies. Smaller mutuals can assess policyholders if losses are higher than expected. Once a mutual reaches a certain size, regulators no longer allow them to assess policyholders. One other thing I want to say about stock versus mutual companies. Sometimes insurance companies have converted from mutual companies to stock companies, and the reason usually is to get access to capital. Imagine needing an influx of capital as a mutual company. Really, the only way would be to raise your premiums, whereas with a stock company, you could issue additional stock. Then there's the reciprocal insurer. They are like a mutual insurer in many ways. Both are formed for the purpose of making the insurance contract available to policyholders. But they are different from a mutual in that the reciprocal insurer is run technically by an attorney in fact. This doesn't mean it's run by one person. In fact, it can be very large, like USAA, which we'll talk about in a minute. A mutual is incorporated with a stated amount of capital and surplus, like a stock company, whereas a reciprocal is not incorporated and requires no capital. Policyholders are considered members or subscribers. The members or subscribers basically exchange promises to insure each other with respect to their insurance risks. So it can be thought of as a big group of people pooling their money together and hiring an attorney in fact, which is really a group of people, to manage their insurance risks. Examples are USAA and Farmers Insurance Group. And in the next slide, you'll see where they rank compared to all other insurers. USAA is a very large reciprocal organization, and reciprocals are primarily only for property insurance, not so much life insurance. USAA is only available to current and former military members and their families. So let's look at the top 10 writers of property and casualty insurance by direct premiums written in 2019, which are stock and which are reciprocal. Starting with State Farm. State Farm Insurance, which is the largest property and casualty insurance writer by direct premium, is a mutual company. Berkshire Hathaway, which is a Warren Buffett company, as well as Progressive Corp, are both stock companies. Liberty Mutual, as the name implies, is a mutual. Allstate is a stock company, and Travelers is also a stock company. USAA, as I mentioned, is a reciprocal. Chubb is a stock company. Farmers Insurance Group of companies is actually a subsidiary of Zurich, a Swiss-based company. But in the United States, they operate as a reciprocal, and Nationwide is a mutual. By the way, all of these stock companies are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. That's true of these large companies, but you don't have to be publicly traded to be a stock company as an insurance company.